Right then everyone, today's video is going to be a little bit different. I'm just going to knock together a video kind of talking about the highs and the lows of moving halfway across the world at 21. Talk about kind of like what visas and stuff you need, and then go through like ways to find work and accommodation and things like that, just because I've had a lot of questions on Instagram and on YouTube kind of people wanting to move over but that have like hesitations and stuff. So yeah, I'm going to knock together a video and give you all a bit of advice. So one of the first things I'm going to talk about is visas. Pretty important. You're not going to get into the country without one, and it's pretty important to know which one that you need. So I'm going to run through a list now on the computer of visas that you can get and what's going to be best for you. So as you can see, there is loads of different types of visas. You've got working and skilled visas, family visas, study visas, so it completely depends on what you're coming over here to do. For example, I came over on a 417 visa, which is a work and holiday visa. Basically, you can come over and find work once you're here. Although I am technically a skilled worker, I came over on a 417 visa just because I did. There's no massive particular reason. I could swap onto a 427 visa, which is the skilled worker visa, which is something I might look at further down the line, but this is definitely something you want to get right before you come over. In terms of like what you can do if you have got a skill, such as like builders, bricklayers, any kind of like construction skill at the moment is really desirable over here and pays really well. So you can either look at getting in contact with a company while you're still in your own country, and then get a visa sponsored through them, or you can come over just on a 417 visa like me and then kind of get in touch with different places to try and find work, which is definitely a lot easier because you can come over, relax, enjoy the first couple of weeks, get used to it and stuff like that, and then kind of look for work, which is what I thought would be best. So definitely decide what visa you're going to come over on before you get here. There is so many different types. It's definitely something to look into. Not that you can't change once you're here. Say you meet someone that you want to get together with, you can then jump on their visa and use the same visa. So yeah, it's definitely something to look into, but don't stress about it too much. Just do your due diligence before you come over. It's definitely an important thing, so yeah. Just had a bit of a disaster with the table. Luckily my laptop wasn't sat on it, but hey ho. So the next thing you want to look at is getting your flights sorted. I flew from London Gatwick, took a drive down to London from Newcastle, and then flew from there. I flew to Doha, then to Perth, and then across to the Gold Coast. My flights in total I think were about £1,100 or £1,200, but I came kind of just coming towards the end of their summer, so it was quite expensive. If you come in like an off season, it's a little bit cheaper, but it's still quite a long way depending on where you're flying from. But yeah, next thing you do is get your flights, then we're going to move on to kind of what to do once you get landed in Australia. So next on my list would be decide where it is you want to go in Australia. You don't have to have a complete plan of where you want to go, as long as you know where you're going to stay for the first 2 months and then kind of have a rough idea of what you want to do, but it's not essential. For example, I flew into Perth straight away, flew over to Gold Coast, which is just about here. I didn't actually realise the sheer size of Australia. The flight from here to here is 4.5 hours, so it actually is huge. Now, like I said, you don't need to have a complete set in stone plan of what you're going to do when you get here. I completely didn't. I took the first week or two to kind of get settled, find my feet, get used to 30 or 40 degree temperatures. So yeah, you don't need a plan set in stone. Just make sure you've got somewhere to stay and a little bit of money behind you. I suppose that moves us swiftly onto the topic of money. How much money should you bring when you get here? How much money do you need? I would say if you're planning on taking 1 or 2 weeks before you start actually working, you want to go do a little bit of sightseeing and like put a bit of money down on a house or whatever, pay a couple of months rent, I would say bring around about 5,000 British pounds. It converts, the conversion rate currently is about £1 to about $1.75. So you do get a decent bit of money for what you bring over. So yeah. Now that's not to say that you couldn't come over with £1,000. Of course you could. You can stay in backpackers and like hostels and stuff like that for much cheaper. But if you want to put a deposit on a house and go traveling and kind of see a couple of things before you start working, then you are going to need a decent bit of money. thinking of it as you've got to eat 3 meals a day, you've got to pay your rent, all these kind of little things all add up. So don't get me wrong, you can do it for a lot cheaper, but I would recommend if you want to come over and live a decent lifestyle, then bring about £5,000. That brings me on to paying for accommodation as soon as you land. Things like taxis and stuff from the airport to where you need to be aren't too expensive. You can use Uber and things like that. So yeah, I'm gonna now talk about kind of rent prices and different options for accommodation. So this is where I'm gonna move on to Flatmates. It's a website here, flatmates.com. This is where you can basically look for like room shares, and also if you've got a room to rent, you can put them on here. This is what I use to find where I'm staying currently. So as you can see, you've got like all different kinds of rooms, how many rooms are in the house, who you'll be sharing with, and kind of the prices. So I'm going to come through and show you a couple of different options and the prices of them. So this is in the Gold Coast. It varies completely on where you're going in Australia, but I just thought I'd use the Gold Coast because that's where I am. So you've got Bigera Waters. This is $250 a week, $300 a week in Robina, $375 in Labrador. So the prices do vary quite a lot. It just depends on what you're looking for. And now I'm going to show you what it would be like kind of looking for your own place rather than a room to share. So we're now on a website called realestate.com. These are more like rental properties, so if you're coming over with a partner or children or anything like that, this is kind of more where you'd be looking. With Flatmates, a lot of the rooms are bills inclusive, which is a big part of the price, whereas on here, this is like a full house here in Camara. It's a 4-bed, 2-bathroom for $750 a week. So it's almost twice or 3 times as expensive as renting a room, but that is also without your bills. You've got to take that into mind. Just compare them and decide what you need and what you're looking for. But once again, it's completely up to you. Like there's different options with pools and not pools, and like different bedrooms and sizes and location. Just do your due diligence before you come. One of the biggest things that I've seen on like Facebook and questions that I've had on Instagram and stuff is about the rental market and stuff, because there is a lot of concerns that there's nowhere to rent, everything's so expensive and things like that, which is somewhat true, but it's not the end of the world. Like there is places to rent, you're just going to be paying a little bit more. And I don't really think it's extortionate. If you are happy to share a room with someone in a house, then you're going to be able to find somewhere within your budget. There's stuff going from anything from $200 all the way up to thousands of dollars a week. So it's really not that hard to find properties. And another thing with like renting a room in a house, like especially for me, I came over by myself. So meeting people isn't as easy as you'd think it would be. But coming over and moving into a home with someone else is an easy way to stop being lonely and kind of getting yourself out there, which is good. If you end up renting your own house, you are going to struggle to kind of find people. Whereas if you kind of move into a house that already has A, like-minded people, B, people of the same age, then you're already one step ahead by finding kind of people your age and with similar interests and stuff. Definitely take that into mind when you're looking for somewhere to live, and location as well. If you're kind of my age, a bit younger, you might want to look towards like Surfers Paradise and areas like that. Whereas if you're older, you want to look kind of out in the suburbs and things like that. But that's just common knowledge. It's the same anywhere you go. The next thing I'm going to talk about is actually like finding friends and stuff on the Gold Coast, because it is hard, and it can get a bit lonely, especially if you come over by yourself. But as long as you just get yourself out there and keep busy, then it is pretty hard not to find people and find friends. It certainly will get lonely at times. It's bound to happen, but it is what it is, I suppose. I'm putting a couple of clips now of like things that I've done in the past couple of weeks, where I've met people and like things other than just going out and drinking and stuff, because it doesn't have to involve drinking or things that you don't want to do just to make friends. There's hundreds and hundreds of things to do on the Gold Coast. So just made it up to the lookout point. Absolutely unreal. You can see it in the background. I've already put a clip in, but you can see it in the background. It's absolutely unreal. If anyone's thinking about coming out, yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't, honestly. Sometimes it's a bit weird being by yourself or whatever, or moving around the world, but when you see stuff like this, it's just like makes it all worthwhile. So the best thing you can kind of do, like if you're feeling down or like missing home or whatever, is kind of just don't stop. Like I was feeling down the past couple of days, and obviously I've been working, but like I just come out of places like this, up at the Spit, and go down to Burley Beach and stuff like that, and just keep active. If you're ever feeling like down and stuff, because it is going to happen, but there's things you can do to kind of take your mind off it. You can't feel down for that long when you've got views like this, and when you can go for a swim and snorkel and things like that. So another thing that I've seen on Facebook and online and things like that is people scared to come over because they think they're not qualified, they'll never find work, they're going to run out of money, you need to be some millionaire to come over here, which isn't true at all. I'm no millionaire. I come over without any real plan, and I've managed to find work within the first couple of weeks. So it's not impossible. These are just a few tips to try and get yourself out there and get jobs as soon as you can. So this is a website I used as soon as I got here, basically. It's a lot like Indeed in the UK. So you can enter what you want to do, your classifications and things like that, and where you want to do it. So you can upload your CV and stuff on here. However, my biggest bit of advice would be just get yourself out there. Whether you can print off a few copies of your CV, that would be great. If you can't, it's not the end of the world. Best thing to do is apply for what you've been interested in on Seek, and then just see if you can go in and introduce yourself, be polite, things like that, and you'll get a job straight away. 100% you will. I spent a lot of time just applying on here, sending my CV and not getting anything back, because a lot of people want Australian citizens and think you're just on a holiday and you're going to take off within the first couple of weeks. Whereas if you actually apply and then go into where you're interested in applying for, you'll have so much better luck, because you can show them your personality and that you've got a bit of common sense. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, sometimes your days will be long. Like I've just finished work now. I've been up since 3 o'clock in the morning. I started work at 5:30. It just depends how much you really want it. I'll stick a clip in now of me waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I look like a zombie, but that is the reality sometimes. Another brilliant thing to do is get yourself on Facebook. Join lots of groups such as Brits on the Gold Coast. There's also pages like Jobs on the Gold Coast, Backpackers. There's all sorts of different pages on Facebook, and people are always posting questions and advice and even jobs on Facebook. So definitely get yourself in the groups on Facebook. Right, the last couple of things I'm going to talk about before I wrap the video up are kind of budgeting tips, how much money you need each day, which also always depends on what you're going to do. It completely varies. It's impossible to put a price tag on things, but as long as you bring over enough money to cover you before you start working, you'll be completely fine. You can live here pretty cheap, and as long as you budget correctly for the lifestyle you want to live, you'll be completely fine. And a lot of moving countries at this kind of age, or even moving in your own country, moving from one end of your country to the other end of the country, is all about your mindset. As long as you can control your emotions and things like that, you'll be able to do anything. At first, I was absolutely bricking it to come over here, as anyone would be. I was leaving loads of things behind, feeling like I was running away from things and stuff like that, but you can't have that mindset. At the end of the day, you need to do what's right for you. You will have down days. It's always going to happen. As long as you can push through and think of, would I rather be here, would I rather be in this situation than back home, then you'll be fine. You can power through these little hiccups that you will have, because I have had them. It's inevitable, really. So another thing I would definitely recommend is travel. Kind of look at where you're going to need to travel to for work and like exploring and things like that. If everything is pretty close by, you can just buy like a pedal bike, which is what I've done. But further down the line, you are definitely going to need something to get you a bit further away, because there's a lot of places I want to go now that I can't get to on a pedal bike. So although to start off with, getting a pedal bike is really good. It'll get you most places that you need to be. Once you want to go a bit further and kind of explore Australia a bit more, you will want to look at getting like a car or a moped or things like that. Although the public transport is really good, it does take a long time. It's not massively expensive, but you also can't get directly to where you need to go. A bus or a tram might not go to where you want to go exactly. So definitely factor that into your travel and journey expenses. Right, wrapping up the video now. I feel like I've covered everything. If I haven't, just drop me a message. Loads of people already have on Instagram saying, oh, any advice? I'm really thinking about coming over, things like that. So I hope I have covered everything in this video. If I haven't, just drop me a message. Like I said, my DMs are open, comments on YouTube, I'll reply to pretty much every one of them. As for next week's video, I'm going to Brisbane tomorrow. I've gone and done the Burley walk and things like that. So I've got a lot of YouTube videos planned and some really good content created. So yeah, stay tuned, subscribe, drop a like, tell your friends, all of that. I'm going to be doing a giveaway, like I said. I haven't decided what it is yet. It could be something big depending on how big the channel gets and the more activity that we get. You never know, I could fly someone out. That's what I want to be able to do in the future, is fly people out and experience what it's like over here. But yeah guys, for now, just drop a like, subscribe, comment and share. See you later guys.